At the very beginning of any physical space, there is only a line on paper, fluid and entirely free. We are trained to judge design by its surface. We look at the typography on a storefront, the upholstery on a waiting room chair, or the facade of a building, and we form our opinions. But the most consequential design decision in any shop, casino, or airport is completely invisible to you. It is the exact path you take through it, authored so quietly that you experience the route as your own free will. This is the discipline of circulation. It is settled at the earliest possible moment, right here on the floor plan, locking in the decisive commitments before a single brick is laid. Victor Gruen originally conceived the enclosed shopping mall as a civic space, a European town square brought under a single roof. Later, developers stripped out the plazas to maximize profit. They introduced the disorienting layouts that trigger the Gruen transfer, the moment a shopper forgets what they came for and starts blindly browsing. This shaping of movement starts at the drawing board. It is a commitment made in the geometry of the plan, years before anyone walks through the door. IKEA is the purest surviving example of this logic. The entire building is structured around a single, mandatory one-way route. This diagram traces that one-way ribbon path, showing how impulse buys accumulate along the forced march. The company's own internal data reveals that roughly 60% of the items leaving the store were never on the customer shopping list. The casino industry historically applied this exact same logic in a tighter space. Bill Friedman's influential rulebook prescribed low ceilings, no clocks, and small labyrinthine passages, so a player would constantly struggle to find the exit. Then Roger Thomas designed the Bellagio and inverted every single rule. He bet that introducing natural light, long open sightlines, and grandeur would make people feel less trapped, encouraging them to stay longer and gamble more. These are polar opposite spatial tactics, but the underlying intent is identical. Shape the physical movement, and you shape the final spend. Once you know what to look for, these spatial nudges are everywhere. Just inside every store entrance sits the decompression zone. Retail anthropologists proved that shoppers in this space are still physically adjusting and buy almost nothing, so the area is left deliberately empty. The airport routes you through a winding duty-free maze because every extra minute of captive dwell time converts directly into commercial revenue. The supermarket places essential staples like milk and eggs at the furthest back wall. Getting what you actually came for drags you past 1,000 non-essential items. And theme park designers use visual magnets, known in the industry as weenies, to pull crowds across vast distances by promising a massive payoff just out of reach. This heat map visualizes space syntax. It proves that geometric configuration, rather than physical signage, dictates human movement. Furthermore, the ServiceScape framework confirms this layout is the primary variable steering both customer and employee behavior all day. Every floor plan acts as a theory of how people behave, rendered in walls and sightlines that enforce a specific argument for decades. Spatial geometry itself is a neutral tool. The ethics of control live entirely upstream in the designer's intent. The exact same craft used to force an impulse buy in a retail store is used in hospital corridors to measurably lower the cognitive load and anxiety of terrified patients. That identical geometry is what successfully funnels panicked crowds out of a burning theater, guiding them through emergency exits they find purely by instinct. Once the concept phase ends and the physical materials cure, all these behavioral rules are permanently locked in place. You cannot argue with the design later because the physical walls are already up and strictly enforcing those rules. The path you didn't choose was chosen for you at the very beginning. Because design decisions are cheap as a sketch but brutal once tooled, you have to see every angle before you build, which is exactly why tools like Depix exist.